Cool. So today, I just want us to go through uh, these questions that we have here. So I'm going to write the programs for these questions, but with your guidance, so that we can see if there's understanding here. So cool. Let's see. Dictionaries. Okay, I'm going to create a hey. Cool. So yeah, so we have one so these exercises here, files and if statements, right? So the first one says, assuming you'll be given a file, empty or not, write a program that will read the file and print the contents of the file to the screen, right? So how would you do that? So what do you suggest I do?
Can start by saying, maybe you can say file or data is equals to
Data,
open.
okay,
Oh
yeah,
no, data doesn't do. Oh, yes. Open
yeah,
and then the bracket,
cool.
and you put the name of the file.
So what's the name of the file? So let's
You
just,
didn't tell us.
so we already have data there, right? Let's just use data.txt, right? So we do have a file there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Then print data. You can print
yeah,
the you say data
yeah,
dot read.
dot read. Yeah,
Brackets. Yes,
cool.
I think that will do.
Then something here. So we have some data again, and yeah, which is what this one. So assuming you're given a file, empty or not, write a program that will read the file and print the contents of the file to the screen, right? Cool. So now we have the second one
Yes.
here. If the file from one, meaning the file that we're dealing with in the first one here, is empty, right? Print
Mm-hmm.
out file is empty to the screen. Otherwise, print the contents of the file. Yeah, otherwise print the contents of the file. So so I'm going to do this. You guys remember comments, right? I'm going to copy this guy. Boom. Say one. Just have a okay. I'm going to close that. Why would okay now? Right. So So yeah, this is number one. So assuming you'll be given a file, empty or not, I have a program that will read the file and print the contents of the file to the screen, which is what we have here, right? So I'll just create yeah. Cool. So this is I'm just copying these here so that you don't have to come back here. So I'm going to copy that one as well. Huh? What's up?
I'm thinking out loud.
Cool. 4. Cool. So we have these questions here, and we'll just answer them from the screen. So we have number 2. If the file from 1, meaning the file that we just opened there, is empty, print out file is empty to the screen. Otherwise, print the contents of the file, right? So how would you do that?
Well, this one, I'm not sure, but I know you'll use the if-else statement.
Yeah.
So just type the if-else statement.
Okay.
With the
If.
So data.read.
So you know what? Let's do this, right? Right. So we store the contents of the file in the inside, so that we can reuse the content. Yeah, so that we can reuse the contents, right?
Sure.
Cool. So yeah, if
contents.
Yeah. Yeah, fixed it, Cree.
Even the contents. If on the if statement.
Yeah.
If contents. I thought Cree would help by now.
Cree, come on, pitch in, bro. What do you say?
It'll be equals to either none or false. Which one would work? I think.
So how would you know that the file is empty?
When you print it out, it should say none.
No, that's not none means when you return nothing, right? From like when you return nothing from a particular function, or you assign none to a particular variable, that's when you get none. But if your file is empty, it's not none. It just doesn't have contents. Like if I was to say name equals to, and then I do that, right? This is an empty string. You see that? This is an empty string. Yeah. So how would you know that this is empty? right? How would you know that this is empty? It was an empty string. Name is
It's
an empty.
false.
Well, it's false, yes, but how would you know?
Oh, length. Didn't I
Yes.
do the length?
So if you use the length, so if you go len of your contents, right? If the len of your contents is 0, right? Then you know that your file is empty. Get that? And then here you can print.
Okay.
You can print file is right, and then otherwise,
then you go to else.
yeah. Okay.
Print contents.
Cool. So yeah, so you know that the file is empty by checking the length of the file, right? So now if I run that, it printed the contents twice because we printed it there and then now we printed it there for the second time. So I'm going to remove that. And then now what I want to do is I want to open this file over here. Take that back up and then just remove the contents of the file and then so now when we run it we get file is empty, right? Because here the length of our file is 0. That's why we print it there. But if I was to print enter in here, is the file still empty?
It will have that /n.
Yeah, so the file is not empty because I've pressed
Wait.
enter.
Oh, it just doesn't write anything.
It did. It just you can't see anything because you know your /n is represented as an enter, so that's why you see multiple lines there. So, but if I take it back to that, to what it was, now we get file is empty, right? So I'm just going to take it back to what the contents that we had before. So I just wanted us to test that, right? Cool.
Okay.
So now using the same file from 1, so we're still working with the same file, that one, right? If the contents of 1 have if the contents of 1 is of even length, so has an even length, right? And the file is not empty, print out the file is of even length that, otherwise print the file has length that. You see that? Ghost Nachi, pitch in, bro. What did you say? He says he's still trying to work out the even length part.
I think I'm also stuck on that part.
How would you know if something is even?
That's the thing.
Huh?
I'm saying that's the thing. So
Yeah, so even means that it's divisible by 2, yes. But how would you do that?
then
Uh-huh.
if the contents of
So you know what we should do now, ne? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this since we're reusing this a lot. You see that? Because
Sure.
then so that we don't always have to calculate it. So we have the size there,
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say that.
Yeah. So now, yeah, you're saying?
Modulus has to
Yeah.
be 0. He said it.
So yeah. So if the size mod 2, right, is 0, so that's one condition, right? Using the same file of contents has an even length and the file is not empty. You see that? And the file is not empty. So yeah, so so now we checked if it has an even length, right? And then and then what else do we need to do?
And you put end.
And
Size is unequal to 0.
so and size is not 0, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what happens in this case?
You print the file is of even length.
So we're going to do this, right? File is of even length, and then we'll use that, and then we'll use size there. So that's what I mean, right? So I just needed you to format this. So you're saying, so I use the f string, say the file is of even length, and then that's the length that you use, right? And then otherwise, you want to print out this guy, right? So I'll just copy that. You see that, right? So now if I run it, so it says the file has length 47, right? So because it doesn't have an even length. But now since we already know that it's size 47, if I remove one character there, that should give us an even number, right? And then now it says the file here is of even length 46, right? Because now the file is even and our file is not empty. But if I was to remove the contents of the file, right? So your file is empty there, and then you said the file has length 0, right? So now let's say, so I want to add another question to this. So let's say now with this one, yeah. So Kri, at the top here, we initialize the size of the contents already as we read them. So we're just reusing. This is so that we can reuse size everywhere we need to, because we don't want to calculate the length of the contents every time we have to use it, because it doesn't change, right? Within our program, the way it's structured right now, the size doesn't change, so we don't need to say, yeah. So yeah, you get it. Cool. So now I'm saying we have, let's say the file was empty and we wanted to do something else. We also don't want to print this guy if the file is empty. What would we do? So what would you do?
Elif, you put elif.
Okay, elif, and what condition is for elif?
Size equals to 0.
Equals to 0, and then we print. So we want to print the same thing we have there. All right. So
Yeah,
if yeah. So now we have two files empties because we have one here at the top, right? So yeah, cool. So now four is saying, let's close this guy so you see everything. 4 is saying create a separate program from the what question above 4.1, taking a file name as input, use the input to open the file and print the contents to the screen. So for this one, we want to create a separate program, right? We don't want to be using the same one that we had now. So I'll call this one right. So, and then I'm going to copy that. I'm going to, nope. Then close that guy. So yeah, create a separate program from the, and then taking a file name as input, use the input to open the file and print the contents to the screen. How would you do that?
I would say open. You said data open. Data is cost to open, yeah. Then we can put.
Yeah.
Then we put input in that bracket.
Okay. I see what. Let's put let's do it at the top. So you want to take input instead of putting in there. Let's put it at the top so that it's clearer for us to understand, right? And then what do you want the prompt? What do you want the prompt to be?
Give the name of the file. Name of the file.
Okay. And
the file name.
The file name. Cool. And then we take that file name here. And then
we print data.
Print data.
Dot read.
So we can, right? So it's not printing anything because this file is empty. Let's do that. Just data.t. Cool. So then it prints out the contents of this file. All right. So we could actually give it another one. Let's see what's in here. So we could just use this.
Somehow I expected that there'd be something that we're missing there.
Really?
You want us to see it.
So we could, no, it's not that, so I could just do that, right? And then now you see that.
Oh.
Because it's this file. So it looked at this file. So that's the one, you see that. You see, it says copyright 2020 Technanimals, permissions hereby granted free of charge to any person obtaining a copy of the software associated, what, right? So you could, if you wanted this, you could also do the same thing, right? It's the name of the file. So you could actually use this to deal with all the files in there. So boom, bam. So you get that out, right?
Okay.
So what if I wanted to print out this file, the contents of this file? What would I do? How would I do it? I want to print out the contents of this file in here. How would I do it? I'm going to run my project here. So what file name should I use? Huh?
I'm thinking if files.py.
Sorry? If files
Wait.
.py.
Should you say? I think you should say Python first.
No. I already ran the
Let's do that
program,
one.
right? I already ran the program.
So do that.
Sure.
Let's see. I don't know.
Bam! No such file or directory if py files. You know why that's the case, right? Let me show you what.
I wish I did.
So we have no. So see that? Do you see what worked?
Open those folders. Let me see something.
Open which folders? This one.
Yeah, just that. Wait, stop there. Bless you. So the exercises that we're doing, the program we're doing, right?
Yeah.
See this thing of your the program we're doing is within exercises, right?
Yes.
But then when you run the program,
Yeah, that's yeah. Continue with your question.
I'm just confused. I'm just confused with these folders.
So
To say
this is what happens, right?
Mhm.
When I run Python here, when I run it like this, I'm running Python from this folder, right?
The main
So
directory.
the main directory. So that means this program that we're looking at here is essentially moved to the top of the folder when it's ran, right? So that's the context for that folder, for this file when it runs. So that's why, since I am at the top, I'm in this folder here. I need to specify the whole directory. That's why I specified exercise, and then I said if files.py. So that's why, right? So I'll show you now what you're asking. So if I cd into the exercises folder, right? Now I'm in the exercises folder, right? If I run, so now when I run the program, actually I have to run the program in this way, right? Because I'm within this folder. I don't have to go into exercises because I'm already in there, right? So now when I run it, I just have to say x files.py, right? You see that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
What
Now,
I'm now thinking, Lew, is
yeah.
Python, when you start to run the program, when you say Python 3 and then you put xfiles.py, right?
Yes.
Does then it let's see, look for this file in the folders you are in or in the whole computer?
No, it's
For
like
example,
from where. Okay. Yeah, continue.
let's say for example, you see now when we run this thing, we run it while we're in the Python crash course, right? So what if the main directory that was in, maybe it was just your documents, right?
So if it was
Or
your
your
document,
picture.
you'd have to go to the program that you want to run. Like Chris saying something here. He's saying it looks to me that it looks for the files in the main directory. You have to specify which folder your file is in if it's not in the main directory. Exactly. So that's what it is. So now since I changed my directory, right? I'm now in exercises, meaning when I run my program from this, that's the context of the program, meaning all files on the same level as my program I can read. You get that? So I can read files, I can read if files. So let's look at this now. So now since I'm in the
No,
exercise, okay,
the ones with the files, I get it. I'm sorted, ne?
yeah.
Now the question is something that we've been doing all along that I haven't been checking. So you see, when you say Python x files.py, when you start to run
Yes.
this program,
Yes.
you say Python
Yes.
.x, type that one. Yeah. So now what I'm saying is that when you run that Python x files.py, does it
Yes.
matter in which directory you're in?
Well, it does because if let's say I do this, right? Uh, this file doesn't exist, right? Because we are in the
Mhm.
exercises directory, and there is no such file called X files with a double S, right? There's no such file in there, right? So
But can you check? Can you open the file that is inside the Python crash course, but not in the exercises?
uh well yeah, I can do it this way. I'll show you. So now I can do let me show you. Hold on now. Uh let me do this. Because this path is it kind of sucks, but anyway. So I can do so I have two dots there. You see that? Two periods there. You see that, right? So
Mhm.
with two periods, I'm saying get out of this folder. So it'll get out of the exercises folder, right? And then I forward slash, and then now I have access to the other folders, right? So let's say I want to run booleans, right? Right, and in booleans we have intro. So from this exercises folder, I can run it, but I'm saying go back go back one out, right? By saying two dots using two periods, I'm saying get out of this folder, right? And then a forward slash, and then I'm going into booleans, and then I'm running the intro.py, meaning I'm going to actually run the program that's in there, even though I am within this exercises folder. So when I run that, it runs that particular one, but I'm still in that folder. I'm still in the exercises folder. You see that? So
Okay, but
if
without doing that those two periods, it wasn't gonna recognize that. It was gonna actually come back and say there's no such file in this
yes,
directory.
because it was going to look at things inside the exercises folder.
So what happens if you are in there, like let's say you are in like the main directory, like your computer, your
Like
local
there,
disk directory.
I'm here at the
Yeah.
top
So
because
is
I'm
it gonna
here.
look for all through all those folders
So
for
I
that
have to
program?
now I have to specify the whole thing. So you want me to run no,
Let's say
right?
Python 3
Yeah.
booleans.
Yeah.
Just
So
booleans.
you for me to run that, I have to go all the way into that. So I have to go into my school folder, right? And then in my school folder, I'm going to go in my Python crash course folder, right? And then inside that, I'm going to go into booleans, and then inside that, I'm going to go into intro. So I have to specify the whole thing from where I am, right? Since I'm at the top of everything, I have to specify the whole path, and then from there, I can run that. You see that? And
Okay.
if yeah, so I have to specify the whole thing.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah. So I think we're gonna stop there for today, or should we? Okay. Let's start off with repetitions. So I'm just gonna go CD school. Cool. So everything from today makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Just want to introduce something because we still have time. Cool. So we've been looking at sorry how the program works. We've dealt with our numbers, booleans, if statements, and all of that. But there is another thing that is more interesting. So it helps us repeat some logic for some things, right? So we've been dealing with so sequences. Some people call them sequences. Some call them, what do they call them? I forgot the other name that people like to use. But yeah, but I call them sequences, right? So here is the thing, your things that you can iterate on, your iterables, right? So it's like your strings, it's those are sequences, your strings, your lists, your tuples, and all of that. So let's say you have a numbers list here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So you have your list there, and you wanted to do the same action, right? The same action for each number in your list. Let's say you wanted to multiply each number in your list by 2, right? And then you want to print that out to the screen. So for now, how would you do that? Now, with what you know, how would you do that?
And then I would still have to print it out as a list.
No, you don't have to print it out as a list. You print it out one by one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please set it there.
So print numbers with the relative index. Cool. So if I would say print uh numbers, right? And then I want to print, and then so I wanted to multiply everything by 2, right? So I'd have to do, let's just stop there. Let's just do that, right? I'd have to do that, right? You see that?
The one in line 5 is repeating. You should say 2.
Cool. Just want to see if you guys are paying attention. Cool. Cool. So we have 2, 4, 6, right? But this is essentially the same code, right? The only thing that's changing is the index, right? So if imagine now if our list is like, now that means we have to do this for everything in our list and then do it manually, but we don't have to do that. There is a way to do that. So you can repeat logic for the different entry in your sequence, right? So now if I say it, so we call this one of the ways is using a for loop, right? So for for loop, the structure of your for loop, it's for, and then you have something here. I'm just going to use those 3 dots. Just don't worry. And then you have your colon like you had for your if statement, and then you would have a body, right? The body of your loop. So this is where you would have your repeated logic. So what this is saying what you want to do is for every entry inside a sequence, you want to perform some kind of action, right? And the actions are the same. Where the action is the same, maybe you can also branch out with if statements inside your for loop and all of that. But let's just look at what we just had here. What we had here using a loop, right? So using a loop, a for loop, you have for, and then I'll write this down and explain it. Number in numbers, print number times 2. So I'll just explain it. So this is essentially the same thing we're doing here, but for every entry inside that. So let's look at this. Like before I go and try to explain this, maybe let me just ask you what you understand by this, by line 7. What do you understand by that?
So I think it says for each value in that whole string,
in
that
the
list.
list. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm
so
not sure
so
why you use number in.
so I'll explain. So this here doesn't really matter. This can just be X, right? It just represents an entry in numbers, right? So it just makes sense to read.
Oh.
Yeah, so that this can just be X. So it's basically the variable that you want to use to represent each entry inside your list, right?
Mm.
So I'm just calling it number because that makes sense because we're dealing with numbers, right? So I'm saying for each number in number, print number times two, right? So what happens is when this will run for the length of your sequence. So the first time when it runs, I'm going to comment this out here. So for the first time when it runs, it'll take, so this uh, number will just be equals to that. So you just have number equals to that for the first time when it runs, right? For the second time when it runs, number will be that. For the third time when it runs, number will be that. But that is all implied here at the top. So it goes in order, taking the first entry, the second entry, or entry, and so on and so forth. So let's just run this program and see. So you see that,
Respond to Kride. Respond to Kride.
sorry, we don't have to define number. No, we don't have. So you're essentially defining it here. So this is another way. So you're defining each entry in numbers as number for each iteration. So each step in our loop is called an iteration, right? So we're iterating for our first iteration takes the first entry of number. And then our second iteration takes the second entry of number, right? And then that is automatically assigned it with this statement. When you say for number in numbers, so that's what happens. So with each turn, it changes the value of number. So this is just repeated 10 times. So we don't have so we yeah, cool. So you understand that, right, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we can see that we have that. We don't have to do that multiple times. I can actually just remove that, right? And then like by doing that, we are repeating the same thing for different entries in our number. You see that? Good.
Yeah, I'm good. Good.
Good. So this works. So for let's just do other things actually. N equals to letters, right? So you can have another one for say letter in letters. So I think the way I wrote this would you it makes sense what the result would be, right? What do you think it would be?
A, B, C, D, E, F. Going
Yeah.
down.
So yeah, exactly. So A B C D E F like that. So because now when we use a for loop on a string, we get each entry in our string, right? When we use for loops on our list, we get each entry in our list, right? Same, so a tuple, same thing with tuples, same thing with sets, uh, same thing with something else. Let's see.
Dictionary.
No. So no, you can't do that. So let's try it. Let's see. So we have our person there. Equals to let's have a name. right? Yeah.
$42.
So let's see. For I don't know what to call it, first of all, in person. Oh, you see what happened there? You see what it
Wait,
gave
what?
us? Yeah, yeah, but you see what happened
It,
there?
it, it only gave us the keys.
It only gave us the keys, right? So you could actually call this a key, right? And then maybe you wanted to print out, so you can essentially print out that key. That key, uh, you could do it like that. So you see, you have to. It's not just the entry in your. It's the key in your dictionary. You get that? So for your
No.
dictionary, it gives you the keys of your dictionary. So now we have Jack Mabaso 54 because we're saying from person, give us that, right?
Okay.
Mm.
Wait.
So
Oh,
this because it gave us
initially
the
it gave
key,
us key.
yeah. So it gave us the key in
Oh,
person,
okay.
and then we
So
have
the key that is in the square brackets is the one that represents name, surname, age. It's gonna give us name,
exactly.
surname.
So this is equivalent to doing something like this, right? Because you remember we dealt with person dot keys, right? You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
So you could do the same thing. So you can say for key in keys, right? And you could print out the same thing. So these two things are the same. So, but you could actually just do that without having to calculate your keys. You see that? Like these two things. So you have Jack Mabas of 54, Jack Mabas 54. You see that? Would we need an if statement to apply the loop to a given range? What do you mean by that?
If you have to stop, maybe at 4 or at 5. Like you wanna do only 1, 2, 3, 4, but there's still 5, 6, 7, 8.
So there is is that what you mean? First of all, Cree. So you don't want to go to the full length of your list, and you want to stop
List.
before. Yeah, if you want to apply the loop to the first four values and end there. Okay, there is a way to do that. So let's use it with this one here. So I wasn't actually thinking of sharing this today, but since you asked, let me show you. Okay, there is one way. I'm going to do the way that you understand now. We'll look at a better version in the future because the other one would need to explain further. It needs a lot more explanation than the simplest solution here. So I'm going to initialize a number outside of this loop, right? And call it IDX, which means index, right? So that's the first index. So the first uh, index in our numbers thing, right? So you're saying Cree, you want such that when we get to the fourth, so the fourth value as in 3, is that what you mean? So meaning after our third our after index 3 we don't want to continue, right? First 4 values meaning index and ending at index 3. So that's what I'm going to assume now. So we're saying, so now we say if IDX is greater than. Okay, wait. Is it greater than 3? So you want it to be greater or equals to 3. Let's make it there. I'll explain what this means in a moment. Yeah. So I just wrote things here that don't make sense to you now. So so can maybe just explain to me what you understand by this line before we move on to this line. What do you understand by that? Anyone? So on line 6, yeah, Jack, you wanna say something?
I think isn't it this does what is this? The the 4 will be doing, let's say for example, the first time
Yeah.
it will count when it works with the number at index 0.
Yes.
Then the line at the next line will be saying that your index plus 1, which
Yes.
means it's 0 plus 1. Then the next
Yes.
time when it works with the number 2, which is at index 1, that line will tell you that at index is plus 1, then you're breaking or something.
Cool. So yeah. So here I'm just saying with every iteration of our loop, I want to increase index by 1. So we start from 0, and then when it runs, after it prints the first one, let's print this out, right? Let's print. Let me just print my index there. I'm going to print out my index there. I'm going to actually let me print it there. Let me print it there. There. Um, then
But then
just
level
let me.
that inline number 3, that definition of index, shouldn't you index it? Oh,
What? What? No. I just want the index, not the value.
okay.
Because we already have the value from here, right? The number gives us the value in there, right? So we already have it, so we don't need that. So I'm looking to get what the index is. So uh let me let's shit. Uh, what's going on here? I'm going to do this. I'm going to comment everything out at the bottom. That's so that we can just deal with what we have at the top. So look at that, right? So it says 0, 0, 2, 1, 4, 2, 6, 3, that. You see that? So you're saying at index 0, that the value we got when multiplying that the entry by 2 is 2, right? And at 1, we get that. And then at 2, we get that. So that makes sense, right? You can see that our index is changing with every iteration, right? So that makes sense.
Okay.
Before you can continue, that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now here I'm saying if IDX, our index, is greater or equals to 3, break. So what break does, when you want to end your loop prematurely, you use the break, right? So you say break, and then it will not continue to the next iteration. So it'll effectively it'll stop the loop. So that's what it's going to do. So now if I run this again, so you have 0, 1, 2. You see that? Because when we get to 3, we don't continue. So now if maybe that's not what we wanted, and we actually only wanted to do it when the index is greater than the 3, because Chris said the first 4 values, right? So that means the first 4 values are up until index 3. So meaning when when it becomes 4, we don't want to continue, because that's our our fifth value. Yeah, you see that. So do you see that, Cree? So we stopped our loop before it could actually get to the end. So we used the break. So yeah, you have to use your.
Level,
Yeah, what up?
I have to go. I have a meeting now.
No, it's okay. But did you understand the break now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that's that.
Cool.
Cool. I have a question, more questions, but sorry, let me just see that. Now I have more questions, but we'll continue again next lecture. Swaggy. Sharp.